Hello, it's time to fire up the TARDIS again and travel back to the 1960s for what is probably going to be, for the time being, the very last new Doctor Who animated reconstruction release. Yep, welcome back to my world of stuff. This has finally arrived. Doctor Who, the Abominable Snowmen. This arrived from Zavvi 3 days after it went on release. Slightly annoying. Pre-ordered it and it finally arrived today, Wednesday. Haven't had a chance to look at it properly yet, so I thought I would do a sort of an unboxing here for you. And then I'm going to watch the disc tonight and I will review it for you after I've seen it. So let's take off the cellophane wrapper. Well, let's start with the slipcover. Here we are, lovely little slipcover, animated image of Patrick Troughton, a couple of Yeti. This is from The Bells. This is from Patrick Troughton's second full season as the Doctor. One of the stories that sadly is no longer available in the BBC archives, although episode 2 has survived and does exist. And in keeping with the BBC's tradition over the last few years, they've been animating some of these missing stories to try and fill those gaps in the Doctor Who archive. So we've had things like Evil of the Daleks, Galaxy 4, Power of the Daleks, Macra Terror, Faceless Ones, View from the Deep. It's nice to have them. I've got them all, they're on my shelf. They do fill in those blanks, but you're very conscious of the fact that you're hearing the episodes, but you're not really seeing them as they were transmitted, because obviously the directors and the animators do take certain liberties to tell the stories in different ways. However, that doesn't stop me buying them and doesn't stop me watching them, doesn't stop me reviewing them. So their latest one then is the Abominable Snowmen, and there it is then. So you've seen the slipcover, very nice. The Blu-ray, I've got the 3D 3-disc Blu-ray set. It's also available, of course, on DVD. It's also a Steelbook edition. I've just gone for the 3-disc Blu-ray, which I'm very happy with. So here it is. Doctor Who. Purists will be screaming at the modern Doctor Who logo on there. It's not right. Get over it. Get over yourselves. So there we open it up. And there we have the 3-disc set, the Blu-ray itself, the second Blu-ray, and in fact, they're all Blu-rays. Of course they are. What am I talking about? The third disc, which has all the special features, which I'm always interested in seeing. This includes the 6-part serial, fully animated in colour, also available in a black and white version. It's got a remastered version of the existing episode 2, which I imagine is going to look better than it ever has before. It's also got photographic reconstructions of the missing episodes taken from snaps that were made at the time. It's got a making of documentary called Troughton into Bed, which I'll be watching first. It's got audio commentaries, 8mm home movie footage, got an archive interview with the writer Mervyn Haseman, usual photo gallery, trailers and so on. So it's a usual, packed release. To be fair to the BBC, they do go the extra mile with the Doctor Who stuff. The very fact that they can be bothered to animate missing episodes shows a certain level of commitment, which we must be very proud of. So you open it up. As usual with these discs, there you've got the cover itself with the usual sort of back cover with all the features, and you take it up, and for purists who want the Blu-rays to resemble the DVD range, you've got an alternative cover, which is of course in the style of the long-running DVD releases of Doctor Who. So if you want to put it on your shelf with your DVDs, you can do, but I tend to keep them in the sort of Blu-ray covers because they're not part of the same collection exactly. But no, it's a nice it's a nice cover. It's a nicely presented set. We also have, you would have seen, little booklets, 2 booklets. There's the usual booklet of Doctor Who merchandise and a little booklet about the story itself, text and images from the animation, and a list of the contents, which says Disc 1 has got the restored version of episode 2 with the optional commentaries. It's got the black and white reconstruction, extra bits and pieces. Good, quite good. Abominable Snowmen episode 4, existing material featured in late night lineup, broadcast in November 1967. Shyama Pereira and former Doctor Who producer John Nathan Turner interviewing Mervyn Haseman, which was recorded in 1990. The colour version of the story is on disc 2, and disc 3 has got the restored version of episode 2 and then the making of documentary and the photo galleries and so on. So yeah, a packed set of discs, which I'm looking forward to getting stuck into. So let's have a look at the episodes, and I'll be back shortly.
The next day.
Welcome back. Right, it's now the next day. It's actually Thursday evening when I'm recording this. And before I go back to the Abominable Snowmen and pass my comments on it, obviously I have to acknowledge and refer to the fact that it's been a fairly momentous day today, in that we've lost Queen Elizabeth II, the Queen of the UK, has passed away today. Yeah, it's quite bizarre, it's quite surreal. I think I posted on Facebook that this is a day that we'll remember for the rest of our lives, because the Queen has been on the throne longer than I've been alive, for the last 70 years. Of course, we had the anniversary celebrations this year. And it's just quite bizarre and surreal to think that she's no longer with us. We're so used to seeing her on TV, making appearances, just being that sort of presence, the Christmas Day speech and those sorts of things. It's just weird to think that she's gone. I'm not particularly a royalist. I'm not a massive supporter of the royal family, but I respect them. I respect the fact that they're there. I respect them as human beings. I've seen some, as usual, some pretty unpleasant stuff online from people who think they're big and clever. They're really not. So I just mourn her passing, because she's a symbol of my life in a way. And we shall see what the future brings under King Charles III. So yeah, rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth II. Right, back to the subject of this video then, of course, the Abominable Snowmen. I'll just come right out with it and say I really struggled with this. I found this a bit of a slog. I think I'm just a little bit tired with these animations now, so I have to say I'm not hugely sorry that this is the last one, because I think the animation is so limited. We're so used to Pixar and all the slick animation that we get today, the computer animation. These are made on a fraction of the budget, and I respect the fact that they're made. I respect the care and attention and detail that everyone puts into them, but they just don't really work for me. And I did enjoy Evil of the Daleks. You may remember the review of that I did a while back, because that was a really good story, a nice pacey story. And maybe that's the issue I had with this. This is a bit turgid as a story. The basic story is, of course, that the Doctor, Patrick Troughton, and his companions, Jamie and Victoria, land on the foothills of the Himalayas, of course, quite famously in Doctor Who history, filmed in Snowdonia. They land on the foothills of the Himalayas near a monastery. The Doctor realises that he can take back a sacred bell called a Ganta, which was gifted to him at a previous visit, 300 years previously. But when he gets to the monastery, it's apparently under attack by Abominable Snowmen, the legendary Yeti. It turns out, of course, they're not actual Yeti. In best Doctor Who tradition, they are robot servants of a great intelligence, a formless thing in space that's trying to obtain dominion on the Earth. And the episode sort of slogs its way through six episodes of no really great dramatic consequence. There's a lot of sort of standing about, walking about. The Yeti do appear. They are, famously not particularly terrifying. These are great big furry creatures, which lumber along entirely unthreatening, which is why they were redesigned to make a little scarier in the sequel, Web of Fear, a few months later. I just found it a bit drab as a story. The setting is the monastery. Characters aren't very interesting. You've got all these different monks and abbots and so on. But there was just a lot of people standing around talking. Occasionally you get a bit of sort of Yetis wandering around. It just didn't work for me in terms of animation. I think the live action version, because episode 2 is here, and a nicely remastered form, looks beautiful. And that's actually really entertaining because you get the proper location of filming. You get the nuances of the acting, particularly Patrick Troughton as an expressive actor. You can't replicate that in animation because you just can't. So it falls flat a little bit. And I just think that 6 episodes of people shuffling around, barely animated, on these rather Spartan sets, it's just a bit much for me to cope with, really. So it took me 3 sittings to get through it. I watched 3 episodes yesterday. I watched 1 episode at lunchtime today. I fell asleep watching episode 5 and just finished watching the last 2. So it didn't really engage my attention. And I think, as I said, it is because the animation just is a bit too primitive, really. I think that there are lots of scenes where in the original TV footage, characters would have been walking around or doing something. But because it exists only as a soundtrack, and it's a very good quality soundtrack, by the way, the animators have had to sort of pad it out by people moving about awkwardly, and it doesn't have a good flow to it because the animators have had to sort of think, well, what exactly is going on here? So I found it a little bit tough going, to be fair, to be honest. I just think, and I thought, well, this is as sophisticated as the animation can get for these things. So in a way, I'm not sorry that the line has come to an end. Now, maybe in years to come, there'll be a way of doing slightly slicker animation. I don't really know, but they've all been pretty much of a muchness. And it's nice to see these stories in any form at all. But what I've always found with these things, that watching the animations makes me miss the real live action versions even more and want to see them even more. I'm sure you may well enjoy it. It's not bad. It's not bad. They're good performances. Troughton is always good, even in voice form. And you can hear the chemistry with him and Debbie Watling and Fraser Hines, who play Victoria and Jamie. Supporting cast are all very good. Special kudos to Wolf Morris, who plays Padamams. I knew this would happen. He plays the abbot, monk, or whatever you want to call him, Padmasambha. I'm going to call him Padmasambha, who's the sort of the chief monk who's been taken over by the Great Intelligence. His performance is very creepy and very eerie. It's just a shame that his realization he's been recreated here as a sort of almost like a zombie, which I'm sure he didn't look like on TV. But that's a very good performance. It's quite eerie, and his voice is very echoey and very threatening, very sinister. So parts of it work. I'm not sorry I watched it, because I think it's Doctor Who, and I'm always going to watch Doctor Who things. But I found it a slog, and I think if you did sit down to watch all 6 episodes in a row, that is a real slog, and I can't imagine too many people would do that. I think space it a couple of episodes at a time, you might get more out of it. But certainly, I can't say I had a great time with it, unfortunately. I did, however, have a very good time with the making of documentary Troughton in Tibet, which is really very nice. Toby Haydoki takes Fraser Hines back to the original location in Snowdonia, along with Sylvia James, who did the makeup on the show. And there's also interview footage with some surviving cast and crew. Not many of them left now, of course. This was made in '67. And that's really very nice, because the thing is, this was famously filmed up in North Wales in a very barren sort of location, which hasn't changed very much. And it's they've actually erected a TARDIS there, exactly where the TARDIS prop was set up during the filming. And Toby Haydoki and Fraser Hines wander around, and they find locations which haven't changed, certain rocks and caves and things that they filmed in. I love stuff like that. I always love looking at things which are show us locations as they are now compared to as they were then, especially in something like this where they haven't changed. So I really enjoyed watching that. That was a very good documentary. The other things I haven't actually watched yet: the archive interview with Mervyn Haseman, the home movie footage. Some of that is included in the documentary. Reconstructions of the episodes I probably won't bother with. I watched it in colour. Now I am wondering if perhaps that sullied my enjoyment of it. I mean, I've always watched these reconstructions, these animations in colour, because why not? But it may well be that watching them in black and white creates a bit more of an atmosphere and makes the story a bit more immersive and makes it feel a bit more authentic. I don't know. So maybe I will give it another watch in black and white just to see if it does work more for them. But as it is, I found it just a struggle to get through. That's the Abominable Snowmen, the latest and last Doctor Who recreated animation serial, is available now, the BBC, on Blu-ray. It's a steelbook and, of course, a DVD. Right, if you've watched this, if you've seen it, let me know what you think of it. If you think it's a triumph, if you're sad, disappointed there's not going to be any more, or if, like me, you're sort of thinking, I'm actually sort of not too distressed by it, because I think it's just the limits of the animations for me that it just becomes a little difficult when you know animation is generally so much more sophisticated than this. There is a certain Captain Pugwash about these things. So if you have watched it, leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought of it. Also, let me know what you thought of this video. So why not press that subscribe button, like it, and leave a comment. And let me know what you think of my world of stuff. Right, thank you for watching. I'm away now. I will see you very soon for another review. Until I do, keep taking the stuff.